Hello, mech fans. This is Duncan Fisher. Hold on firmly to your mana potions, fireballs, and familiars, because you are tuning in to your regularly scheduled episode of the First Circuit Podcast.
All right. Well, hello and welcome everyone to the First Circuit Podcast, episode number 125. We got our usual three hosts today, me, Biter. We also have Ian.
Hello.
And old Bob.
Hello.
And our topics today is the new loot bag event, the usual sales that accommodate that, come along with that, the new the new collection packs being sold by on MWO, the first metrics we've got for the new matchmaking system, some patches for MWO and MW5, and lastly an update on the Battletech Kickstarter. All right, so to get started, let's go into the MWO Beach Party event.
Yay, beach party.
A limited loot box event. 3 phases again. God damn it. You have to, and as ever, at least you have to just wait until like the final week to actually just get all three done most efficiently as possible.
So you have 3 different start dates, but at least they all end at the same time, meaning if you just do it during the last week between July 31st and August 7th, you can do all the phases at once, if you play enough during that week. But I guess this year we're not going to go to real beaches, we're just going to go to the beach in Mechwarrior Online and try to farm some goodies.
Yeah, what do you guys think about the grind for this particular loot bag event? Whilst there's a lot of bags on offer, it takes a fair bit to actually work through them, particularly if you're doing each phase in turn. So phase 1, for example, the biggest, you can only get that you have to do 150 matches to earn all those loot bags.
Well, it's 80 match score. That's pretty easy to do, though. I mean, I'm literally just gonna walk on the field, do some damage, and that's it. You got it. But I mean,
that's still a lot of matches.
That's a lot of matches. That's a lot, dude.
Yeah, so it's a minimum of 150 matches if you really want to get all the goodies, and I'm gonna assume that no one is going to grind out these matches, especially since the other phases are a bit more tame. So you've got phase 2, where you can get loot bags per match score accumulative. So if you have like 400 match score in one match, you're gonna get 2 loot bags rather than just 1 for this one game. So
not that bad.
We all agreed that this is the by far better way to do match score based loot bags. And I think the third one is the third one. I don't know if it's a first, but you get a loot bag per kill or KMDD up to 50, which have we seen that before?
I don't think I've ever seen that. No.
I think that's a new one, and I personally really like it.
The tricky thing is, though, at least if you're somewhat above average player, you're often finishing off mechs and this, that, and the other, getting KMD&Ds as well. But some players, if you're below average, this might be quite a grind. Like if you're only getting really 1 kill or KMDD per match, that's 50 matches, which is still not too bad if you still have to do 150 matches for phase 1. And phase 2, whilst I really do sort of like accumulated match score, the question is 200 too high or too low? Like, at least what level would we set it at? Like the average, if you remember, what was it last time when we looked through a lot of data, just the average match score players got, people got about, on average, it was like 200. 200, like the average between, on both sides was usually around like 220, 250 or so.
So the assumption here is that the average player should use 150 matches for phase 1, 100 matches for phase 2, 50 matches for phase 3.
Yes.
Which I personally think is a way too high grind.
Well,
but also it's fair enough.
Not really, though, because you look at it, though, 1 loot bag per 80 match score and up to 150 bags. So, and that ends in 19 days. And then you got phase 2. Phase 2 starts in 5 days. So basically, you get the accumulated match score. So, like, if you get, like, say, 280, that's 2 bags right there. If you get 400, that's 3 bags. You know what I mean? Because it
It's
overlaps that way.
it just we're just saying like at least your average player is about getting a bit more than 200 per match, so they will take about 100, a bit less than 100 matches to do it. Your below average
Okay,
player will
yeah.
take yeah. A way to look at it is sort of Ian does bring up that if you do 50 matches every week for every phase, you could possibly do the whole thing
Yep.
in that time, rather than pushing all 150 matches to
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
final
And
phase.
I would say 50 matches per week would also fit with the assumption that an average player would get 1 kill or KMDD per match. Because obviously you get KMDDs if you actually play decent, and you get kills completely random. So even if you're a below average player, you're gonna get a kill eventually, every so often.
Oh yeah.
And if you play above average, you're just gonna farm this in a few matches with KMDDs.
Yeah, true. Like always, I concentrate one person trying to get a kill, and then some guy comes over and just hits him with a small laser, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
we all hate events that require kills, and we all love events that require KMDDs or kills instead.
True.
Much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at least compared to prior loot bag events, from what I vaguely recall, it was like they set the bars as like cumulative match score, like every 80, 150, 150, and 250 match score. Like you had to reach that bar and stuff like that. So you could earn multiple ones, and they were all the same type of requirement. This time, though,
Mhm.
we have a different type of requirement each time. So in some ways, it's nice not having the overlap, and it's also yeah, it doesn't give the loot bags as freely as it used to. It's just my vague feeling.
I don't know. Like I actually disagree with that though. Like basically, like it's all overlapping. So like I think if I play about like 50 matches, like I'll probably play about 25 matches per week or something, and I feel that I could reach that 300 bar because that's what you need to go get the bonus pattern for your mechs, and then also like the 250 is the mech itself. I feel I could
So
do it quicker than the last times that they had it, where you got to play each and every match.
yeah, so a funny question is at least yeah, actually with the third phase, but in
Mm-hmm.
particular, that's the most rife for exploitation. So the idea
Oh
is
yeah.
just at least for me in the past, like when you had just cumulative match score, for example, if I did a really great match, particularly if I'm taking one of my streak boats, I would earn like 6 to 7 loot bags in one go. And in this case, at least phase 1, I'm only going to earn 1 from that. In phase 2, I might earn 3 from that. But then kills, and particularly KFDDs, when using a streak boat,
Yeah.
you could very quickly fill out those 50. So the phase 3, I think, is the most easy to farm, but you'll have it's most limited. And after that, phase 1 and 2 are a little harder to get those 6 or 7 loot bags from. But yeah, I just think it's a little throttled compared to prior events, but only a little bit. That's just my gut
Yeah.
feeling.
And the main thing is for people who really want to optimize their time, they're just not going to bother with phase 1.
Correct.
Because you
Exactly.
can,
Yeah.
like, phase 2 and 3 are both really easy to farm. If you play above average, you can probably get phase 3 done. Like, phase 3 in a day is easy if you're above average.
Hmm.
And phase 2 is probably going to take you more than a day, but still not too long. Whereas 150 matches,
There's no way to game that system.
yeah, you can, yeah,
You just
that's a
gotta
good way.
play.
You can't game it.
That's about it.
And it's basically going to take you 40 hours of play over these 3
3
to 4
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks. And yeah, I mean, either you have 40 hours or you don't have 40 hours, and that's
Yeah.
going to be the thing here.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's a little throttled compared to before, but not unfair. And the prizes, at least, I think, are going to be just the same as always, and they're quite nice. Just every single loot bag, you can get some C-bills, some MC, some cockpit items. They're all perfectly fine. So as long as you're playing the game, you're getting some goodies, and that's
Yeah.
nice. But what do we think about the grand prize
Let
or
me go
grand
to.
prizes?
Well,
I
to
like the fact that they included general skill points as an option.
Yeah, if you have a very full library of mechs, it's just
yeah.
you might already own most of these, and you don't need the
Yeah,
mech pay or the
indeed.
C-bills.
Yeah,
I
true.
recently
True.
ran out of general skill points, or no, not of skill points, but of general XP, and I'm getting low on general skill points. So I'm getting to the point where I actually have to play the game if I want to level up max, and this helps me in that regard.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and beyond that, I
all,
mean, the price max are solid.
these are all the loyalty variants, if I'm not
Oh, okay.
mistaken.
Okay. Oh, not bad
It's
then.
like the
Yeah.
Blackjack
Like,
2 is the missile Blackjack, the Cataphract
Yep.
3F is the one with the
The
mask, etc.
Catapult
etc.
C2 is amazing. I remember the Summoner F is pretty solid.
Yeah,
They
not
all
bad.
have
Yeah, there are
interesting,
some
unique
good
little
ones indeed.
gimmicks. They're all available for C bills though, and my great nuisance is just you're getting a C bill mech or for like 250 loot bags. That's a lot of
Yeah.
work to make sure you get that. That's phase 1 and 2 combined, and you have to do in the entirety of all 3 phases to get the grand prize, the ultimate prize.
Yeah,
Or you
300.
could
So
buy a pack, but we're gonna get to that in a few
Well,
minutes.
everyone likes
yeah.
the hot rod pattern, so I mean that's one thing that at least it's not that mountain camo one. So that's a
Yes.
really good one. That's good.
Yeah,
So
I
you know,
I still don't think a pattern is worth grinding all the loot bags. Like, especially if you don't plan on spending the money to get the 50 bonus redeems.
Mhm.
This is gonna be really tough to grind, and I'm just gonna think most people won't bother. Which is why I'm happy that they put the better price, in my opinion, up here in the 250 category.
Yeah.
maybe
Only
maybe
for
if they
the
had
really
like
dedicated ones for 300.
maybe if they had like 2 different types of colors for the mechs, do you think? You know, you get hot rod and say the Halloween one, the skeleton one, or something like that, for
I
like a
mean, you
better
only
price.
need one pattern per mech, really. But yeah, if they had multiple choices for patterns, like say you could redeem the hot rod pattern for like 3 mechs or 4 mechs, maybe. But even then, even then. But
Yeah.
that's
Personally,
personal preference.
I much prefer the idea of sort of giving your quote unquote casual player a reason to push for the grand prize. And right now, at least, only your most dedicated players are really actually playing these 150 matches throughout that time. It's
Mhm.
just the reason you're giving out this extra thing is just sort of just to push people a little bit further than they normally would. And part of that, I would say, I would perhaps put it to 200, 250, or even 150, 200 loot bags required to get the prizes. That way, it's you can get phase 2 and 3. They will get you most of the way towards getting these big prizes, and that is at least a lot more alluring to a casual player rather than them having to reckon with 100
Yeah.
or so matches to complete phase 2 for an average player.
Yeah, I agree.
All
So
right.
yeah,
Same
loot
here.
bags.
Yep.
Yeah,
We're
Thanks.
good.
Okay.
and 50 bonus for the new collections that you can get. We'll get onto this in a bit, but the collections are quite reasonably priced for what you're getting, and 50 bonus redeems is a fair amount of bags. In the past, how many loot bag extra redeems did you get for a pack?
Um.
I believe 25 per pack you bought, but you could stack them.
Yeah, it was
Yes.
25. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're giving quite a lot of loot bags for the collections, which we'll get into later, which just, at least for right now, is an extra little bonus boost to their value.
Yeah, I'm just going to double check. You can only, like, you're only gonna get ever get 50 redeems, right?
Is that per?
Yes, only ever
Okay.
50. You can't buy multiple collections for more than 50.
Oh, okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Hmm.
They should make sure to make that clear.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Okay. Oh well.
All right.
Loot bag's good.
We've covered the event enough, but let's go on to the beach party sales, which just have some interesting things and a lot of scrolling.
Get your calendar out. Get your calendar out.
Yeah. So if you look at the video right now, I'm just gonna quickly scroll through the whole page, and yeah, I completely understand people who are not going to ever read all of this.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah,
Thanks.
this is the problem with this whole event and sale, is just in the sense that these different phases and the whole kind of having to sit down and discuss and debate how you want to spend your time and how much time is needed. It's such a hassle.
Yeah, at this point, before we go into the actual content of the sale, I would very much prefer if they just attached a Excel spreadsheet to the page where all the prices are listed, and then on the page you don't do this list with prices and discount and such, because I mean 50% is 50%. You just list like all the Corsairs, all the crabs, all the fleas, and that way you can compact it to a readable format.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I believe we discussed that. Basically instead of at least for this, when you scroll down, just put Corsair 50% off, and that's it. That's all you need. And then the next one is Crab 50% off. The next one's Flea 50% off. You don't need to, just like you talked about. It's like don't put the C bills, don't put the MC. Everyone knows 50% off is half. So I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, what I would suggest at least is to cut down a lot of space. You just say Beach Party Phase 1, colors 50% off. What's it? And
I didn't even see that too,
the
because I was looking.
Corsair, Flea, Crab, King Crab, etc., etc. You just name the mechs and say they're 50% off for MC and C bills.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's dive right into that particular mess. Scrolling through here, you're just going to assume it's a bunch of mechs that are off, but if you actually read the fine print, colors are 50% off during phase 1. And in phase 2, if you scroll a lot, I hope you can't hear my mouse red because it's really loud. On phase 2, you can get engines for 50% off. And I'm going to scroll and scroll and scroll. And
Action patterns as well.
Oh, faction patterns?
I
Where?
completely missed that one. And in phase 3, you have
Okay.
weapons and cockpit items.
I didn't even read that.
Yeah, so there's smart stuff hidden in here. And I'm just gonna show this. I made a calendar for you guys. So there you go. You're welcome.
Yeah, annoyingly as well. At least unlike with how the loot bags are going, where the phases overlap. These are only for phase 1 is only for the first week, so only 1 week of 50% off for colors. Phase 2. 50% off engines is a huge amount of expense can be spent to this game for engines. That's a really good place to save some C bills. And some people are big fans of having their certain faction patterns. So many people are going to miss it because it's buried in these walls of text. And lastly, weapons. At least weapons are sort of a hidden expense, or at least, if you're going to buy a heavy Gauss rifle, it's nice to save $500,000 every time you do it in this phase 3. But it's just so annoying to have to wait for this particular week for it to start up, rather than just having all 3 phases active for this month. I really just wish I could just sit down and play all 3, get all the loot bags from all 3 phases and weapons and engines and stuff for 50% off. Just that this is the 3 weeks of Mechwarrior Online for me. Instead, they put me through this huge rigmarole and hassle, and it just doesn't really help me wanting to play.
Yeah, I agree. It's this thing we've discussed so often. To some extent, I understand the staggering of phases for the event because they want concurrent player numbers rather than just a giant burst in phase 1 and then no one playing in week 2 and 3. But for the sale, I really don't understand the staggering of sales, because if people want engines, well, they're just gonna log in week 2, buy the engines, and log back out. And it doesn't encourage player numbers, so I really don't see a reason to stagger these sales.
I
and
agree,
it just
man.
annoys me.
I
At
definitely
least when
agree.
I'm trying to talk with more casual players, it's really nice just to tell them, hey, by the way, there's this big event going on in MWO. Sit down and play. You're going to get loads of loot bags. The engines are 50% off. And it's like that for 3 weeks. Like, I can tell someone, we have some time to find a date and sit down and play some MWO. But instead, I'm just like, oh, hey, there's an event. And, well, eventually we'll have all the phases.
Let me give you a longest email where I detail all the times you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, basically, you just won't give them all details. You'll just ask them, "Hey, do you want to play?" And every week they come on, you might remember that there's an event engine thing going on. But really, at that point, I will not bother remembering.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the main part of the sale, and then there's one thing that's kind of
There's 2 other parts of the sale.
Yeah, 2 other parts of it. Yeah.
2 other parts. Okay, so let's start with the probably most controversial part about the sale. You can now buy the Mechon 2017 pattern for the 87 chassis that it's supported on. It costs 500 MC for the permanent unlock, and it's only going to be available White Note during this event.
So I spent my ticket and flew to Canada to have it, when I could just go ahead and pay, 500 MC and go get it. So, I mean, that's not the reason why I actually wanted to go to Canada, but the whole thing is like, it was a special thing for people to go to MechCon, and now they have it for 500 like MC.
Yep.
That's just crappy.
Yep, that's the background to this pattern. The pattern was only available if you went to the MechCon 2017. I believe 2017 had the online package where you watched the live stream and also got the pattern.
Yeah.
But even then, it was supposed to be only available for the people who bought the package back then, and it was supposed to never be available ever again, and to be something really special. And now, if you have 500 MC, everyone can have the pattern, and it means basically nothing.
Now that is 500 per chassis.
Yeah.
So,
pitch.
Yeah. So
Not
the
per variant.
chassis rather than variant. I wonder if that's a miss. Oh, what's going on?
Because we had it for the chassis.
In game.
Yeah.
Have we checked? We should check in game actually for this, because if you buy it on an Atlas, is that going to be unlocked for all other Atlases or just that one Atlas?
Because I think the one for MechCon, it was for the chassis itself.
Now, before we go too much into the cost, I think it is.
Oh no, it says 4 mechs of their choice. It says 4 mechs of their choice. Once pattern is released in game, determined pack supporters will be able to choose 4 mechs that they would have for their thing. So you pick 4 mechs. So it's
now
4.
What they link to is the 2017 post.
Yeah.
Just where the thing describes and shows off, predominantly just showing off the patterns.
I'm going to log in right now. I do have a bunch of spare MC, and I'm gonna spend 500 MC and figure this out.
Because it's not too expensive. Yeah.
Take on the second.
Yeah, because it was those who actually paid enough to attend the physical MechCon, I think, got all the patterns. If you got the like supporter pack, which is a cheaper ticket, it was only four particular variants. So you had to pick and choose very carefully which ones you had.
That's right. That's for the tournament supporter pack. Yeah.
And now, but still, I think, as Ian was hitting on, I think quite rightly at least, this was supposed to be a very limited exclusive thing. It was a very special paint scheme, and now it's available to everyone as long as you have some MC, which the game, gives away for free anyway. So it's just losing that allure, and it's just them going back on their word, and just at least as we always say, PGI isn't always the best with keeping promises to the public.
Yeah, it really reminds me of something League of Legends did with their new skin crafting system, where you can get random skins that are no longer available to buy. And early on, they had the same thing where they had a couple skins that were supposed to be really special and unavailable for everyone who wasn't part of that particular event where they handed out the skin. And the backlash was insane. Obviously, League of Legends had a big enough following that backlash got to the point that they took away some of those skins from the pool of available things you could get. But in this case, PGI is consciously picking a pattern that's supposed to be very special and making it no longer special.
Yeah.
It would be like selling the loyalty variants, so to speak, 500 MC for every loyalty variant, with the special patterns and C-bill boost. And it's just those are supposed to be, of course, for rewarding customer loyalty. And whilst the variants are available, the regular variants available, C-bills, they are supposed to be very difficult to acquire, and not just something that you can wail on. It's to show your dedication to the game. And at least to contrast to League of Legends, at least I think the skins in that are much more diverse and expressive, so to speak, than MWO camo patterns. But the big thing, at least why I was thinking of the loyalty variants is just that variants and weapon hardpoints and stuff is the much more important thing usually to people in MWO, what you can actually put in your mech, rather than necessarily sort of how you can paint it. But still, it's a very interesting choice. I don't get why these patterns are even particularly supposed to be summer associated. It's just the colors. I mean,
They're
blue,
glittering,
because of orange.
The fractal pattern. It's
Yeah.
like a glass, cut fractal pattern. And you could also get your tickets. So make sure you get your tickets for MechCon
No,
2017. It says buy tickets here.
That's yeah. They really
Okay,
should make
so
a separate posters for showing off the
I
things.
just
Yeah.
bought
Yeah.
I just bought the camo for my Hunchback 4J,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm gonna check what's another Hunchback that's all the 4G. I'm gonna check the Hunchback 4G.
Mm-hmm.
Camos back. God, the menu is so slow. Pattern. And I do have it unlocked. Okay, so it's actually per chassis. It's not a typo.
Okay.
If you buy it on one
Okay,
variant of the
yeah.
chassis, you have it unlocked for all makes of that chassis.
All right.
And it's
Yeah.
only for one chassis, though, right? Not for 4 of them?
Yeah, for
Now,
one chassis.
Okay.
in game,
Which-
500 MC, by the way, is equivalent to what? The mountain lion camo.
It's one event,
Yeah,
though,
it's-
basically, for 500
One of the more
MC.
basic
Yeah.
camos. They're selling this very fancy and special looking one for the same price. It's not on sale, of course, but
No.
yeah, it's not a faction.
And
pack,
you're
so-
getting it for full chassis. So
Yeah.
at this point, this I really like the system of buying a pattern once and having it available for all variants of that chassis.
Mhm.
Because I do think that permanent patterns are insanely overpriced in Mechwarrior
Oh, yeah.
Online. And
Yeah.
I never recommend permanent patterns to anyone. However, if I could buy it once per chassis for like 750 MC and have it available on all the mechs of that chassis, that would be a completely different value proposition. So I like the system, but I really disagree with the pattern they chose for this particular showcase.
Yeah. It's just it feels it just even excluding the exclusivity thing, they're selling off a really pretty pattern for a short time when normally I've been spending at least the base price for Hot Rod or Buccaneer pattern, the favorites, Franken pattern, those are like 1,200 1,500 for faction patterns. They're charging twice or three times for a fancy pattern, and
Mhm.
for this exclusive one, they're charging a pittance for it. It's just it's a very odd decision.
It's money. They're trying to get money, I guess.
Yeah. Still, even though it's cheaper, it's across 87 different chassis. So if you want to buy all of that, that's like 44,000-ish MC, like $200.
Yeah. Plus, you have to have all the
Uh,
mechs,
I mean,
too, at the same time.
if all your mechs are green right now and you really want the pattern on all your mechs,
yeah. But you're only
it's
going to really
still
buy
cheaper
this
to
one.
get. It's still cheaper to get single shot patterns.
Yeah.
Eh.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the 2017 pattern being resold, but there's another, just a bonus little thing to mention, the double MC on $15 bundle.
Yep.
Which is
There's
nice
a
value.
lot
You
a
get
lot of small print.
$30. Yeah, you get $30 worth of MC for $15 one time.
Yeah. And it's
during
also
this,
for gifting as well, too. So, like, if you gift one.
Mm-hmm. Well, the gifting results in so much extra paperwork
Yeah, I know.
explaining whether you can get double after giving
Yeah.
a double to someone else.
It's actually,
Still,
yeah.
if you buy MC, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's not too bad.
it's a good buy, basically. Like, normally they have the $6.95 one, and they double that one up a lot with, like, a free mech bay or something like that. So, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I don't know. Personally, I would still wait for another MC sale where you get extra stuff on top of your MC and just buy the cheapest one for a maybe potential loyalist reward at the end of the year. But if you really want MC and actually have a plan to use that MC, this is not a bad value. It's not a great value, but it's not a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's
so speaking of value, should we take a look at the
Yeah.
complete collections?
Yes.
Big
All
fan
right,
of
so-
this idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Same here.
complete collections. Assorted mech bundles that change every 48 hours. So every 48 hours, you get a collection of, I believe, one chassis per weight class, where you can buy all the variants, however many there are, for a set price. And 48 hours later, it's going to change over to a different chassis within that weight class. So as an example, right now, you can get the Mistlings, Assassin, Archer, and Cyclops, respectively, with all the possible available variants for that particular chassis for, well, a certain value.
I mean, like I like it. It's cool. The only thing I don't like is every 48 hours, but I understand why they did that because they want you to come back to Mechwarrior Online to go, oh, okay, what's this 48 hours? What's this gonna be?
Yeah.
I just wish they just said, okay, here's all the mechs. You want a chassis? It's right there, instead of the 48-hour thing. But I understand why they're doing it. It just kind of sucks. I just don't like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you didn't have the 48 hours, you would make all the other things in your store completely irrelevant, because no one would ever check any of the other MechPacks. So I really like the 48 hours actually.
But I just kind of don't like coming back, every 48 hours to go, okay, what's on the thing now? And like, let's say I'm doing something for a couple days and then I miss it. It's going, oh my God, that mech I wanted so bad, but I forgot about it, type thing. But I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
It really depends, because it is such a limited selection. It really depends on what market this really caters to. But up front, at least, let's sort of just talk about the value proposition here. If you want to get mechs like the Assassin, that's at least for us visible right now, all you can do is sort of like buy MC and buy a pack probably in the in-game store, but that's going to be like pretty darn expensive, like because there's loss when you buy MC, and then there's loss when you actually just buy the pack through there, unless it's on sale. So it's like like you have to pay $50 or something. And in the in-game store as well, you could buy standard. You have to do the whole standard pack, hero upgrade, and reinforcement pack, and that's like $20 or something for the standard pack, 15 for the reinforcements, and then another 15 for the hero. So you're paying like $50 for it. But here, you're spending just $21 for the whole thing, and that's 6 mechs. And we were doing some of the math before. It's like $6 for the heavy and assault mech, and just like $3.50 for the mediums and lights. So and you're also getting mech bays. Like mech bay is worth by itself. We usually say like $1.50, so to speak, isn't it? For the 150 MC. So you're getting $1.50 mech bay plus a mech to fill it for another $1.50, so to speak. Like that's a really good value for money. Like all of these, like $6 for each assault mech. If you buy, a Cyclops in store, I'm betting you have to pay thousands of MC for each individual Cyclops.
Yeah, like I'm looking at the Assassin pack. It's $70 for everything. So I mean, this price is really good. The only thing you're losing out on is the premium time and the cockpit items and the title and badge. But no one cares about pilot, titles and badges. But the thing is, like, you're getting the war whore into the cockpit, but for $70, so compared to what, 20, 21, that's a good deal. And plus they give away.
That's what you can buy the double MC package for $15 and just go in game and buy whatever you want.
Yeah, and in the end, at least, the core, most important thing in the game is always just the mechs themselves. That's the gameplay. The colors and stuff was always sort of nicer bonus when you were buying mech packs, but they would not. They were just a cherry on top. I've always sort of said that they sweetened the deal, like with premium time in particular. So yeah, I'm a big fan, at least sort of these. It's just like with the dropship deals, they realize that mechs, when they are slowly coming out with new variants, you could charge a huge premium for them. But now that the game is rather stagnated, you want to sort of offer people a lot of mechs for relatively speaking, a good price.
Yeah.
It is still like $20 is something you could get a very good indie game for that.
Oh yeah. Like Mechwarrior Online is never going to become a cheap game by any means.
Yeah. But relatively speaking, at least you are still getting the hero and 5, all the variants of the assassins if you like the assassinating, or at least you think you might.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the assassin only has one decent variant, so this pack is garbage, but you get the point.
No.
Yeah,
I could talk for a while about all the different assassins.
Dude, give Biter a freaking stick. He'll beat everyone. So don't. Yeah, I don't say that to Biter anymore.
One of the things that might be interesting to look at, I don't think with this particular selection, but potentially in the future, is if you just want in-game C builds, is it worthwhile to buy one of the Clan Omni packages, sell the mechs in-game, are you getting more Siebels for your money than if you bought MC and then spend that MC on a Siebel package?
That's a good question, actually.
I honestly don't want to do the
mislinks.
math, but it's something to
Yeah.
consider.
Yeah, because every single mislinks is going to have an XL engine stuck in it, and all of those are going to sell for a good amount. On top of course, just the base chassis and maybe all the weapons if you want to. So, yeah, that might very well give a good return on investment.
You know, I'm looking at the clan
And you keep
packages.
the hero, and you keep the hero. It's an Omni mech. You strip all the other Omnipods you want.
Yeah.
And
there you go.
yeah, you're good to go.
They still have those Masakari for $240. MacPacks for 210. They still got that.
Yeah, Bob. Thanks for
Yeah,
reminding me.
I just thought I'd just bring it up for you guys. That's all.
Yeah.
There are little things in life I regret as much as the Massacre collection.
Yeah. So going back to my just previous thought patterns regarding these packs, it's kind of odd, at least if you're playing the game and you're like someone says, "Oh, you should try the assassin." Usually, at least, what you should do if you're not sure whether you will like it is you save up the C-bills in game, purchase an assassin, the most recommended one, like the 21, and you give it a try. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, oh well. But if someone's recommending you to the assassin, it seems an odd situation that you just you have to go to the complete collections and hope the assassin is the medium mech on offer, and then you have to be happy putting down $21 to get all the variants. Or, in the past, like you might have picked up one variant and instead of buying all the others, like you just happened to come across this pack and say, okay, fine, I'll pay $21 to get the variant I already own plus all the others. It's just, I'm really curious who is actually going to sit down and buy these packs.
I think that's the whole point here. Like at this point, people have played the game long enough that they probably have a basic feeling of what mechs they like, and this is basically no one's buying MechPacks at this point because they're way too overpriced for what they offer. So this is just a method for PGI to maybe get some people to randomly decide and impulse buy one of these. I think it's really impulse buying what they're going after, not like planned. I need this mech. I'm gonna wait until it's on sale.
Yeah. It's kind of funny actually as you bringing up the whole clan mech thing. Like, if you just started the game, it's almost like you say, "Oh, I really want to buy. I want to put some money into the game to make things easier. What's the best answer?" And it's like, "Well, maybe just buy the Mystics collection, sell all the variants to get C-bills, and now you've got 6, empty mech bays and a bunch of C-bills to fill it out with. That's actually not too bad."
Yeah, at $26, I actually think that's a good value. Because you have the mech base, so you're up to 10 empty mech base, one mech that's actually good and completely fitted out, and some C-bills to spare.
I mean, haven't they figured out the numbers for this though? Because I know, we're all a bunch of people that look at it going, "Hey, we can do this, this, this." I mean, these guys are making the game, and
I don't think they care too much about people reselling certain packages for C-bills. They cared about that a long while ago, and then at some point they just said F it and they put in the C-bill bundle for MC. And I don't think at this point they really care about detailed value anymore.
This is a new player to the game isn't going to know all the different little pockets of the store, like the dropship deals, the collection packs, and know how to exploit it. But it's a question of just, if you have some friends who are getting into the game and they want to put some money down, you can recommend them this avenue, and it might actually be one of the more cost-efficient solutions. And I think this is already a niche purchase, and it's not something, and it's going to be even more niche that people would find this exploit, so to speak. So I'm not expecting it to happen too much, but it's just something with the value on offer that you could take advantage of. Anyway, complete collections, it's way better than the current packs that are on offer. You get lots of, you get the entire variety of variants that are on offer for each mech. So if you're it's an interesting offer, and at least if you're buying it right now with the summer event thingy going on, you're getting 50 extra loot redeems. So you're missing out on the premium time, the cockpit items and stuff, but you're getting MC, cockpit items, C-bills, and random things from the loot bags right now anyway if you purchase one pack.
Okay. So what is next there? Ooh, I got it.
Next up, we're going back to the never-ending story of Mechwarrior Online tries to fix their matchmaking.
Mm-hmm.
So 16 days. It's been 16 days since we've had the patch that actually reset everyone to tier 3 and made some changes to the way you could rank up and down in Mechwarrior Online. And Paul has posted some pictures of how the people actually ranked up and down. And it's kind of interesting to look at. Not surprisingly, the people who changed rank first were the people who were actively grinding to get up.
Mhm.
Like these first 5 people to ever get out of tier 3 after the reset. Obviously, some kind of hardcore Mechwarrior player who just took patch day and grinded out their pilot skill rating. And over time, it split out even further. And then of July 15th, we have this final picture, which I think is the one we should go on right now.
443 tier 1s, 85 tier 2s, and then untold number of tier 3s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really wish we could see how many.
Yeah, I know.
people
Huh?
doing
I know.
We can make an
Tier 3.
assumption because we know that last time Paul posted there were 15,000 people who have played in the last 3 months.
Okay.
And those were the 15,000 he took into consideration for his last tier distribution diagram that he showed us.
Okay.
So we can assume that it's probably going to be 15,000 minus 2,000, 13,000 people in tier 3 right now.
Well,
roughly.
that 15,000 is of course a period of 3 months. The top of the scale is always, at least what we can see here is 7,000. So maybe at least for this change, at least 7,000, 10,000 maybe have logged in, but 15,000 would be the upper bound, and that would be after a few months, I would say, of total players. But yeah, it's kind of interesting seeing the time flow over time. Like the most hardcore players, they got to tier 1 after 3 days. So, even if you play like crazy, it will take you 3 days to actually get to the top tier. And as I said, at least it's going to take most players, quite at least if they don't play that many matches, quite a while to actually move out of tier 3. And so, yeah, this distribution just throughout the whole thing, it's just a giant central pillar with a top that we do not know how far it goes. Just a few people have fallen off to the sides.
I mean, I think there are a couple of things to take away from this. Like at the very least, we can see there are roughly 2,000 people who are caring enough about the game to have played enough to change tier, which is kind of cool. We can see that the rough distribution is indeed kind of working, but of course we need to wait a couple more months to see how it probably plays out. And we can basically see that it's easier to rank up. Well, it's pretty hard to get into tier 5, whereas if you try, it's apparently easier to reach tier 2 and 1.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume the people who are subpar are, well, the majority in tier 4. But it's hard to play bad enough to really reach tier 5.
Yeah. There's
see
some
me
big
play it, did
questions,
you?
obviously, to figure out this data, just in the sense that, if you are being pushed down in tiers and losing a lot of matches or doing terribly in a lot of matches, how much are they really feeling like they should keep playing compared to somebody who just keeps winning matches and feels like they should keep on playing? What's the dropout rate for the winners and the losers of this system? We can see what box people fit into, but there's obviously going to be a lot of data within each of those boxes. So, tier 3 is a huge giant pillar with a large number of players having done only one match, therefore they're right down in the center of it. But how many people are at just the tippy top of tier 3? How many people are just about to fall off tier 3? There's a lot of wiggle room within each of these boxes, and we just don't see how much people are wiggling between how the data within tier 1, within tier 2, etc.
Yeah.
The totals, though, at least those who have dropped down, it's at the very end. We have, was it roughly 1,300-ish? and if we look at 900 plus, 450 or so, that's almost it's it's 1,400-ish. So slightly more have gone up, in the higher tiers, and more of those are happy pushing towards tier 1 than people are to keep losing and push towards tier 5. That's just it is actually fairly balanced out for those who have moved into the new boxes.
It will still take a little bit for it to go through, though, basically, for it to balance out. Basically, this is just only like half a month, and that's it. So, like I've been noticing, talking to different people, that they're liking it. Basically, they definitely do like it because actually it's based off skill instead of time. Just like before, because everyone was tier 1, and you couldn't go backwards. And so this is actually good. I don't like how you can go from tier 3 down to tier 5, but because I like the 1B, I think it is, the 1B or 1C like method that they have, where you didn't lose, but you started tier 5 and then work your way up.
Right now, it all depends on how tall that central pillar really is, because if that contains 90% of the player base, then 90% of players are a free-for-all in tier 3 right now, and therefore it's not necessarily it's not actually skill-based matchmaking, it's just random matchmaking, with those who have actually proved themselves being recognized as higher or lower tiers, etc., etc.
It could also be just people that just only played a couple times or not really caring that much, just casually doing it, type thing.
Yeah.
Or playing once, something like that.
Yeah, so I do think that's the big takeaway from this. We can see that there are people who care enough to really actively play, but there are a lot of people who are going to take more time. And I think looking at these stats is going to be a lot more interesting in 1 month more.
Yeah.
Let's say in another 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
you
fair.
need quite some time for this to shake out.
Yeah.
True.
Paul also mentioned some other things, like the matchmaking system, that it's very strict in regards to if you're in tier 1, it really wants you to only face up against tier 1 and tier 2 players. That was, of course, back in the day where all the tiers are quite evenly spread out, so that it would wait a little longer, because it was like, don't worry, there's plenty of people in this group. We're going to find a match for just tier 1 and tier 2 players. But because obviously now there's only 1,300 people in total who have reached these higher tiers, it being really strict like that might mean if you reach the upper tiers or the bottom tiers, you have to search for a long, long time.
Yeah, like right now, the release wells kick in at 4 minutes, so the matchmaker for 4 minutes tries to match tier 1 and 2 only, and after 4 minutes, they're gonna pull in whoever's available from tier 3.
Mm-hmm.
So for now, if you grinded tier 1, well, congratulations, your reward is a matchmaking time of up to 4 minutes. I hope you're happy with yourself.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you get more wait time. Oh my god.
I mean, yeah, this is to be expected.
I know.
I mean, one thing we saw with the PSR things that Paul posted over the past few weeks and months is that they did indeed put a fairly heavy focus on PSR over tonnage, which meant after the reset, all that PSR matchmaking went out the window and the tonnage was never really there, so all the matches were really random, which was enjoyable for a time. But now we are kind of getting to the point where it's hopefully going to stabilize and the matchmaker is actually going to do something rather than just randomize.
Well, it all really just depends on the actual coding, because as I said, the coding before was based on like somewhat an even distribution across all the tiers. There was a large number of people tier 1, and the PSR would sort between all the people in those upper tiers. But if you're going for this bell curve, where there's always a minority in tier 1 and tier 5, that system doesn't work so much, because they're always going to be relatively like you draw a system that tries to compare all the people who go to the most prestigious universities, so all the Harvard graduates. It's trying to just find out who's slightly better at being a genius than the others. But you take that system and then change it to have just a free-for-all where there's only 10% are actually Harvard, and then there's 20% from the more prestigious schools, and then there's a huge horde of regular people, and just that very fine-tuned system at least intuitively, would have difficulties with a different distribution, because the differences between the very best and the very average are much greater. And that's what you're sort of playing into when you make tier ones, the higher tiers, a much more exclusive club. And as long as you want them not to wait forever to play each other.
Yeah. So, and I think that's kind of what's somewhat hidden behind the last sentence. At the end of the 3 months, they said 3 months to really test the system, see if it works. And after that, they're going to reconsider, see if maybe they're going to try another PSR system, or if the system is good enough. In which case, I think we've already discussed this, but we're going to assume that they're going to look at the actual matchmaking system, not just the key factors for the matchmaking system, but the actual system itself, and see if they can tune that.
Both feed into each other. So if you change one, you should change the other, at least to fully complete the process.
Fingers crossed that PGI actually knows
that. Nope, they just make anyone who's proven themselves to be good enough to make them wait a very long time.
That's a reward. Yeah, that's funny. Also, too, they have a group. If a group of 3 tier 1 players decides to have a tier 3 player, tier 1 players decide to do tier 3, there's nothing to do about it. So that tier 3 player is going to play against all the tier 1s and 2 guys. So they haven't really fixed that, but hopefully they'll fix it pretty soon, though.
I'm really curious how that works. Like, if I had a group with a tier 1 guy, a tier 2 guy, a tier 3 guy, a tier 4 guy, what tier do we start searching for? Is it the group lead, or
that's a good question?
What's going on?
That's a really good
I'm
question.
gonna assume it's either the group lead or the highest group player. I don't think they're doing average, but we don't know, and there's no way for us to really find out. So that's also something that many people in this forum thread have indeed asked. How groups would work. Right now, we don't know.
If it's a group lead, you have a guy at tier 5. I'm tier 5, so you're leader.
As I said, at least bonuses. As I said, with the fact that now tiers are supposed to be more selective, and that you will have a more broad selection of players playing against one another, or at least you should be prepared for that as the player base dwindles. You want to make sure that people still find a match and aren't stuck waiting 4 minutes for every single match because the matchmaker is so particular. With that as the case, we want a system that is able to pull in whoever it can find to quickly give them matches, and that will be across several different tiers, and it should try and balance for skill. And part of that system will also be able to account for a group that has, a tier 1 player, a tier 2 player, a tier 4 player, and a tier 5 player, because it's just like, yep, our games are full of people from various skill levels, and we're going to try and balance that out. It will be able to figure that out, rather than just saying, well, you have a tier 1 player, so you're going up against tier 1s, and that's it's a really crude answer.
Yeah. Okay. So what's next?
That's all the update we got on the pilot skill rating. It's still going on for another few weeks, and we're gonna check back on it once Paul decides to give us more info.
Yep. Hopefully we'll see the top of the graphs at some point.
Yeah, I know.
All right, there's just 2 quick patch notes.
Hotfixes, not really patches per se.
Well, hotfixes,
Yeah, I just wanted to include these 2 hotfixes. There's a hotfix for Mechwarrior Online regarding weapon doors, and a hotfix for Mechwarrior 5 regarding some co-op stuff. And I just wanted to include these, not because they actually have any meaning and are actually going to affect more than 1 or 2 people, but just to show that PGI is still working on these games. They're not dead, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Both of which are just times where someone will do less damage, typically because of server issues. And now those issues are hopefully less common.
Yeah. So people are still working on this and hotfixing. So not all the resources are put into the DLC.
It is funny that these things get full-blown posts, just like, by the way, guys, something's happened. We fixed a tiny one little problem.
Yeah, it kind of feels like PGI is actively trying to show us that they haven't completely given up Mechwarrior Online yet.
Yeah, I should actually boot up Mechwarrior 5 and go reinstall it. I'm thinking about it, just to play a couple games or so.
Yeah, I'm tempted to play one of the major mod packs for Mechwarrior 5.
That might be fun, yeah.
I don't know, man. I burned out so hard trying to grind that campaign to the end on vanilla after release that I really can't be bothered right now. So yeah, it's gonna take at least a few more weeks until I fire Mechwarrior 5 back up.
I just don't like the arcade version of it. Basically, that's the only part I don't like. Well, there's a lot of things, but that just kind of deters me from playing that game again.
Yeah, so I'm gonna assume for you guys listening to this, the real we're gonna talk about Mechwarrior 5 once the DLC actually drops and we have info. And I think I'm going to buy the DLC on Epic just so we can really check it out in person. But yeah, until then, don't expect us covering too much Mechwarrior 5 stuff.
Yeah, I plan to buy the DLC.
They're going to come out with the first DLC and they say, "Don't worry, guys, we're going to introduce DLC that adds phased events to Mechwarrior 5 campaign."
Oh man!
If you play on April 1st, you will all get a cicada.
Yeah,
the campaign.
But they're a dime a dozen there, man. They're a dime a dozen in that game.
We heard people that said that they really like the spreadsheets, so we wanted to add more reason to make spreadsheets for Mechwarrior 5.
We got it from the First Circuit podcast that we love spreadsheets, so we're gonna go send it to you guys.
We did talk about Spreadsheet Warrior.
Yeah,
as an add-on or DLC for Mechwarrior 5, where you have to manually do the finances. For $10, I would probably buy it and play it for a few hours.
I would like to see someone, it's a masochism mod.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything to freshen up Mechwarrior 5.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on.
Final piece of news, and I'll leave it to you guys about the Battletech Kickstarter.
Still kind of sad, but very much less sad than Mechwarrior 5. So the Battletech Kickstarter obviously had a bunch of delays, mostly to the virus situation in China, where China did shut down most of the factories.
Yeah.
And well, to quickly summarize this bit of text from the last update, the factories have opened back up. They are still behind
they might be closing
schedule.
down though. Might be closing down again because it's spreading.
Well, they might, but let's assume that the virus is indeed cleared up, and the US is one of those few outliers.
Let's say the bad thing happened around the world.
Yeah, nothing bad is going to happen, and
they're naturally having issues with recent events, and that might happen more in the future. But it's to be expected. Unfortunately, as things go.
So we do have a current date for the Wave 1 shipping, which is the actual box set, the first few mechs, and I believe some of the collectible items, but not all of it. Like Wave 1 is the smaller part of the whole Kickstarter campaign. And the factories are further behind schedule than anticipated. The factory has now given a date of July 31st, where they committed to have completed the Wave 1 shipping. Catalyst is cautioning because they will check quality, and if the factory tends to rush things, then it might delay even further. But assuming that July 31st does indeed work out, shipping is going to start on August 1st from the factory to the distribution hubs that Catalyst and their partner has set up all over the world, which means between September 21st and October 21st, backers should be receiving Wave 1 rewards. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about half a year behind the original schedule, but honestly, it's a Kickstarter. I never anticipated to get my rewards as early as originally promised, and I think in the scale of Kickstarter, half a year isn't too bad, so I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, my wife got
Catalyst Games had issues with delays in the first place. Wasn't
oh
it?
yeah.
They're like, oh, we got a really cool starter box set, and maps coming out. It's got to come out this year, and then another year passes. It's never MechCon. Don't worry, guys. We got this in the works. And there's double the reason now to be delayed.
And usually Kickstarters take about a year for them to ship everything, get everything out. My wife got the little cat figures, the little cat fighter figures, whatever they're called. It took about a year to go get that stuff, and it takes a while. And then obviously, just like you guys were saying, the Catalyst Labs has some problems, but that's expected with the stuff that's happening around the world.
Hopefully, the big concern, at least with all these supply disruptions, is that the factory might rush to get the product out. They might lower the quality. They might not send out. They might produce like 90% of the stuff, but not all of it, and that's just going to create so many possible headaches. So in the end, at least, it's a question of whether we want them to do it properly or want them to take their time and do it
Yep.
properly, or for them to rush
Absolutely.
and then have a whole mess to sort out.
It's
And
like
I think
video
they
games.
should take their time and do it properly.
Yeah, it's like video games, man. Hey, take your time, do the game right. That's all we ask. It doesn't matter, like
Yeah,
Cyberpunk
and
2077.
yeah, from all I've heard, in the Battletech community, I haven't heard a single voice who is upset about any of these delays. There are just a lot of people who are really excited about these Kickstarter items and who are really looking forward to finally receiving them. And yeah, if it takes another 2 months beyond the up to October 31st date, then so be it. It's going to be a great Christmas gift.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be a funny coincidence if MechWarrior 5 comes out to beta on Steam and all the box sets are arriving at homes around Christmas time, just by sheer coincidence.
Yeah.
But isn't sorry, go ahead.
The main concern is still that the factory would not commit for a date for Wave 2. As Bob and Byler have alluded to, there might be further delays, so we don't know about Wave 2, but hopefully Wave 1 is going to be here by Christmas.
But I thought next month is going to be the AI is going to take over the world, so we're not sure if that's going to happen or not. And then,
okay.
yeah, September is a meteor shower. That's going to happen, so, who knows, 2020. What's going to happen?
It's either zombies or aliens, as far as I'm aware.
I thought aliens was in November, though.
I thought you need a big volcano to go off.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's yeah. Yellowstone needs to go off too.
Off the list to do this for this year.
Exactly. Okay. Okay, I think that's a wrap up then.
Yes.
We've signed a solo. We can't go on any longer.
Okay. So everyone, that's episode 125 of the First Circuit podcast. Thank you so much for actually hanging out and listening to us babble about volcanoes and all that kind of stuff. I do appreciate it. We do appreciate everything you guys do for the podcast, and thank you so much. So tonight we had Ian.
Bye-bye.
We had Biter.
Lord.
And myself, Old Bob 10025. Thank you so much, and have a good night.